Nobody has any questions? Jamie?
Sorry, I think there were some questions, but they were posted on the Blackboard, on the discussion board.
I didn't see.
So I can go back and have a look.
Yes, okay. So we have a look at the questions. I just don't want to lose the stuff I'm doing on my screen. So first of all, I think that the first assignment is due when? Does anyone know when the first assignment is due? Is it like middle of January or something like that?
Yes, I think so. I think I saw week 8.
Yeah, 17th. 17th of January, Jamie. I agree. That's what I believe too. So here's my question. Does anyone understand what the assignment is all about? Because at the end of the day, this unit is about us actually completing this, the assignments. We have only 2 assignments, which is really good news. University prefers when we actually have less assignments than more assignments. Okay, so the first assignment involves writing an e-portfolio, which is a kind of evaluation of your own experiences. Of literacy. Okay, and I just read some questions on the discussion board, and like under the topic confused, and I think that this session should clarify some things. I have tried to clarify these issues about assignment in the announcements, I believe, or somewhere, or in some form of email I had with students. So since I'm not getting any feedback from anyone regarding assignment 1 on this session, good to see that Linnea has returned, and Jamie, you don't have a mic, as I understand. But please type if you have any questions regarding assignment 1. Assignment 1 invites you. I didn't write these assignments. These assignments are actually taken. They were always in this unit, so I just inserted them there, or rather didn't delete them, and hopefully you can actually work with them. If you have any questions beyond my explanation, then please come back on the discussion board and we will deal with them. But basically, assignment 1 invites you to somehow reflect on your experiences from the past, like when you were a student or when you are teaching students. It really doesn't matter. It's an exercise in reflection on the pedagogy of literacy. And by that, what's meant is how you were taught. What do you think people those days were teaching when they were thinking they teach you literacy? So what you will do is look at your experiences through the readings that you have done until 17th of January. So this unit is practically divided into 2 parts, or basically divided into 2 parts. One is a theoretical part, which is assignment 1, and assignment 2 will be more like working with the curriculum and imagination. How can we turn the ideas that we have read into something practical, like a resource, to create a resource for teaching or sequence of lessons for teaching literacy? But assignment 1 will show me how much readings you have done. This is the second time I'm teaching this unit, and I have to say that the first time I taught, a lot of students actually did not insert enough of references in the assignments. That may be because in the first year that might have not been required that much, but this is a second year unit. So what I would like you to do is to actually look at your past experiences, how you were taught literacy. Or, if you don't want to do that, how your children are taught literacy. Or how in the schools you are today, how they teach literacy. And I want you to actually put on theory glasses and talk about literacy teaching through those theory glasses. The main thing I will be looking at is whether in your discussion of those literacy experiences, you can connect your understanding of what literacy teaching means to the higher order skills that are recognized as such in the Australian curriculum. So whether you teach younger children or older children, and it doesn't matter on what policy documents you draw or curricular documents you draw, I will want to say that the links you make between what literacy is and how literacy is to be taught, you make them in relation to higher order skills. And they are, as you know, critical thinking, creative thinking, capacity to work in teams, capacity to find information, evaluate information. As you can see, all these high order skills force us to look at literacy as a way of being in the world, right? There was a very famous Brazilian scholar or educator that you don't have to read for this unit, but you need to know about. It was Paulo Freire. And Paulo Freire said that the word reflects the world. And then we look at the world and we sum it up in a word. So there is this relationship between the word and the world. And very often when we teach literacy, we patronize children and we just want them to know the meaning of the word. And in fact, we want them to recognize the sounds in the word. But what we forget is the wider context and purpose for which children read. So have a look how the readings, and I think that not all readings actually treat it sufficiently. Nevertheless, have a look how the readings teach you about locating the task of reading in relation to the bigger world, in relation to the kinds of purposes in which children or the world functions. So we don't just read, nobody just reads. I am not reading anything. I am reading in order to see how this can help me to do something else. Or I'm reading this because I am interested in these things and these things make me happier or make me laugh, something like that. Either way, it's always in order to, it's always purposeful. And this purpose is meaningful to us. When it's not meaningful to us, we're not engaging. And engagement, as you know by now, is a big word in education. Children don't engage. Obviously, if we give them just one text to read, because we believe that the curriculum tells us to do it, half of them fall asleep, drop off, and some actually even walk out if they can. So the question really is higher order skills and then individualization. How do we bring students in a context where each of them can make sense, even if the activity is broad, like we are all doing the same thing? Can we individualize while we all are reading one thing? And these are the kinds of questions I would like you to think about. Does anyone want to say something or type something? So, since you're not saying anything, I just wanted to say that the purpose of the readings that you have identified in your unit outline, the purpose is to give you some, how can I put it, some basic understanding of literacy. These are just basically the stuff one finds in textbooks. However, just quoting continuously Winch et al., while necessary, is not probably be sufficient for a high distinction assignment. So what I would strongly urge you is that you start reading around. There are particular readings suggested to you that are around the topic of literacy, but are outside of the basic textbook. So hopefully, as you read the textbooks and then also expand beyond the textbook, that would be good. So the function of the textbook is to give you some basic understanding of the theory of reading, of the things relevant to reading, to teaching reading, and the function of the additional readings which are included in the modules is to actually broaden your perspectives. Now, the questions on the Learn line were about in what form should we submit the assignment. I have specified it. I'm not sure whether it was in the email or whether it was in the announcements. However, I have specified. You can do it in the PowerPoint, you can do it in a Word file, you can do it as a Google website or any other website. It really doesn't matter. The point is to create a portfolio or of reflections, not in what form. Even if you do it, what else can I think of? Something that's in a blog, I'll be happy. I don't really care. I don't really care about the format. I just need to read. I need to read. I need to see that you can actually think critically about the experience of being a student of literacy and being a teacher of literacy. I would like to see through this assignment 1 that you have engaged in readings. Anybody who produces statements about readings which are not referenced, those statements will count as plagiarism. Right? Do you see what I'm saying? You cannot say that literacy is about blah, because that blah has to be referenced. If it is not referenced, how do you know? Where did you get it from? And this way you learn the ethics of writing. And you may say to yourself, well, why do I need that? Well, you need it because one day you will be an executive or a teacher, you will write reports, and we need to learn to write in a proper way. Lenny, it's fine, I can see it. That's all right. I hope that you are clear about the assignment now. Doesn't matter what form, what matters, it contains reflections on the experience of being a literacy student or literacy teacher in whatever context, your children's context, you as a participant now in observing other people's teaching. It really doesn't matter. And your reflections must be through the lens of theory. We don't want to see basically an assignment that could have been written by anyone from the street. Right? Anyone has as you know probably, well, if you don't know, I will tell you, the worst job you have is to be a teacher. And the really, really pits of it is if you are a teacher in the school. You know why? Because if you haven't been a party or something and people say to you, and you, what do you do? And you say, I am a literacy teacher in school. Everybody has an opinion on that job. If you say to them you're a rocket scientist, Nobody will question what you do. If you say to them you're a literacy teacher, everybody has an opinion, how it should be done and how badly it is done and all of that. So I'm aware of it, and you are probably aware of it. It's not a very grateful position to be in. Nevertheless, what I want to say, those literacy e-portfolios have to be written through the eyes of readings, through the eyes of theory. And the first thing I will be looking for is your capacity to link the understanding of what literacy is with the higher order skills of identified in the Australian curriculum and any other documents like this. Now I want you to have a look at one way of looking at literacy. On the screen, I believe, you are able to see a picture. You can't see the red book in the middle, the sort of red square in the middle. So the blue dots are students, and they're all looking at one book taught by the teacher. All right, so before I explain the drawing and try to make it more visible, I need to answer this question about the assignment 1. You can repurpose some older e-portfolio. It doesn't really matter. So can we link assignment 1 to an existing e-portfolio? Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, if you draw on some of your thoughts from earlier units, that's just great. But so I'm not assessing what you have done in the past or whatever. What I want to see is however you put it together. However you put it together. I want to see a text that allows me to see whether you can theorize literacy, right? And that means also whether you can look at literacy from the perspective of the link your way of theorizing makes with higher order skills. We don't want to treat children as if they were being trained just hope I can. Oh, I see why you have a problem. Now I have a problem. See, it's really funny how it shows. But what you see on the picture will do. I can see that you see only half of it. But nevertheless, so let me finish. We're all having a problem now with viewing the screen, the picture, because I also can only see the top. But that will do. All you need is that. That's enough. So let me first finish the point. Yes, use the old e-portfolio. In fact, the more you can, if you can actually build on some earlier work, that's even better, right? So it doesn't matter. Now, when I talk about linking with higher order skills, I would like to really truly ask to look at this picture and have no understanding why it looks so miserable, but let us try to make sense out of it. There is a professor at University of University of South Australia. His name is Phil Cormack. They got a grant, heap of money, and they actually looked at. They tried to actually examine how the history of literacy teaching. And what happened is that they found out that they basically identified that there is a stability in the way in which over the centuries student and teacher relationships are constructed in literacy classrooms. And that stability is nothing to be proud of it. And I don't have the PowerPoint here, but maybe you can actually find it in the reading resources that I have created in this unit. Somewhere under some module you will find it. And what was happening in the past, as you can actually imagine, there Very often people think it was centrality of the teacher, because the teacher was in front of the classroom, and then there was these many students sitting in front of the teacher. Well, what this graph actually, or the bits that you see, is showing, the children, these blue round dots, are all looking not actually at the teacher, but at the book. And that's actually a sad thing, because if you actually when you start thinking critically about our experiences in literacy, you see that even in classrooms today, students are sitting in groups or whatever, and there is a centrality of the book. In early days, it was the Bible, and then was just the big book, and we know about the big book methods. The children are focusing on one book, and the teacher is doing all kinds of exercises in order for children to actually understand the book. And as much as it is still a model that is used in schools, I have to make you aware that in critical literacy, or in research which actually looks at practices, teachers started to question whether that centrality of the book and teacher, who is this square on the top, a rhomboid or whatever you call it, who's monitoring students and making sure that students get everything that is in that book, whether this is actually a good thing. They actually started questioning whether this is a good model. And I do have a model that is contrary to this model, but I might not actually show it to you today, because I think it is a process. Maybe next time when we have a collaborate session, I might introduce my solution to it. I also would be very interested in you engaging in reflection on this picture. I will post this picture to everyone so that everyone will get it in its full size, so you can see all the dots and all the squares. It's an important picture because it basically says to us that no matter how much we think we have progressed in classroom teaching, when we look at the structure of the teacher-student relationship, we are still having a book in the middle, call it a Bible or whatever, replace the Bible with anything, and we have the teacher making sure that students just memorize what's relevant or what the teacher selects as relevant. Now, from the perspective of the assignment, which is about theorizing literacy and linking your theorization to higher order skills, can you think of the questions that this structure of the classroom may raise in your head in regard to the higher order skills? We're all looking at one text. We all have the watchdog there, ensuring that we read it right, we behave the right way, and all is well. And all of us in unison work together according to the wishes to the teacher. What skills are we teaching? Is this teaching critical thinking? If critical thinking is about exploration and questioning, where are these questions to come from when we all are looking at one text? And where are the answers to come from when the only person we actually have as watching and monitoring us is the teacher? They can come from students, maybe. So these are the sorts of questions I would like you to think about. They would be less relevant for assignment 1, maybe, but for assignment 2, they will be highly critical, because obviously I will not praise highly a resource that is still supporting this very traditional, although omnipresent, structure of teaching. I would say myself that overall, while we all try to improve the way we go about teaching reading, I think that we have still a long way to go in schools. Nevertheless, there are initiatives that I have seen, and there are schools that do engage in a more progressive and bit way of practicing things. Myself, I am now engaged in a grant which is about early literacy, where we will be exploring different ways of actually teaching literacy and maybe using teachers in class that are not just literacy teachers, right? So there are ideas around, and there are solutions, and there will be more solutions as people think about it. Nevertheless, what I would like to invite you is to actually think about this model where the book is central, where students sit around the book looking at the book, and where the teacher actually drives the whole class. And as mothers of children, as fathers of children, as yourself having been once a student, how do you feel about this model? So let me now just basically summarize, and I will be looking I'll be trying to see whether you have any questions. Let me just summarize. As you write your assignment 1, please start having in your mind the question about literacy as an engagement in the world, purposeful engagement in the world, and literacy as engaging children in working with skills that support students' engagement in the world. May not be a future engagement. How about current engagement? We don't have to always teach so that one day students might need this particular way of teaching it. This kind of teaching is called just-in-case pedagogy. Just in case you will need one day to know how to do one thing we will teach you today. Just in case, maybe we could do what's currently is called a modern pedagogy, which is to actually support students' development today, now, for what they need right now. So the higher order skills are about supporting students' development in being in the world. And a picture, as we looked at today, does not have a world in it. All it has is the book, one book, and the teacher. And we need to start thinking. There's a lot of text that you will read, and so on, and I would like you to start engaging in the text a little bit critically. Are these texts actually saying that literacy is about engaging in the world? Is literacy about supporting students' development to be in the world? And if so, is the picture of the classroom as presented in this picture that you barely can see here, is this picture actually giving justice to a pedagogy which is to support students being in the world, right? These are questions that are high-level questions, but once solved, all other questions regarding how to work with a curriculum will be solved. Because when you address higher order skills, then you take account of lower order skills. If you only focus on the lower order skills which are in the curriculum without ever linking and looking at higher order skills, then you're not even teaching them lower order skills. You basically are training them particular behaviors that you decide that you will value. But without linking to the higher order skills, one cannot actually justify the program as aligned with the values of the curriculum. So I have finished for today because this is what I wanted to draw your attention to. These kinds of thoughts, and also I wanted to answer the questions about the assignment. And what we've done today was to show you that there is flexibility in the way you go about the assignment, and the kinds of thoughts that I'm inviting you to entertain will also be extremely relevant to assignment 2. Non-negotiable is referencing. Referencing whether assignment 1 or 2 is non-negotiable. I finished one degree, I finished a number of degrees, but one of them I've done in history. And in history, when I was an undergraduate student, we had no choice. We were told every sentence you write must be referenced. The idea is that whatever statements you make about literacy, they are not yours. You have learned them. You need to reference. You need to show me that you've done readings. You have worked. Okay? That's pretty much it. I'll just read whatever Stacy has written. I take it we need about 6 credible references for the assignment. Well, I don't know. I don't know. You look, I will be very happy if you read a blog which is on a website like I know everything about literacy. No, I just made it up. But if that kind of blog, words, or theorizes literacy in a way that helps you understand linking between the practice of literacy and higher order skills of the curriculum, I will be happy with that kind of reference too. So I don't know what credible means. For me, credible is able to construct a link between higher order skills and literacy as a practice of being in the world. If you can actually do that, I don't really care what other form of credibility there might be. There's a lot of people who are very credible in the field and make no sense, just no sense. So basically what I'm interested in is that you actually make sure that you don't make up things, that you reference things. So if 6 will allow you to create a story about literacy, then be it 6. Certainly not 2, because, well, anyhow, I don't really care how many, as long as you can actually produce a case. And also what I wanted to say, if all you do is quote Winch et al., then all you have done is produced a less explored perspective on literacy. But if you do it in a convincing way, I might live with it. So, the power is in your hands. If you are able to use Winch to the point that the link between literacy and higher order skills in curriculum is actually well addressed, I'm very happy with it. But there is a reason why I gave you also in those modules additional readings. So assignment 1 is about theorizing, it's about reflecting. It's about linking theory with reflections on practice. Assignment 2 will be all practice. Okay, would you have any questions? Ockerman is a person, she is famous. She is brilliant, Jamie. She is actually working with me on the grant that I got $25,000 to do early literacy in a school in Darwin. She's extraordinary. She won every award in literacy. I have more readings from her, but if you want more, you can actually email me and ask. I've got thousands of them. She sent them to me. So yes, Ockerman is extraordinary. She's in the University of Stanford in the US. Beautiful person and very, very smart. So Jamie, I cannot congratulate more. If you sit on Ockerman, that will just do more than Winch et al. Yeah, Jamie sent me an email. She's great. She will appreciate it that someone actually recognized her talent in Australia. She will be in Australia. I hope she can come in July. She's got a 3-year-old child, so she's wondering whether she can make it. But she will definitely, have an active participation in our grant, in our experiments, and our reflections and thinking. Just don't know whether she can make it to Australia in July. Yep, she's great. Okay, any other questions? And that's what I want to see. I don't want students to see enslaved and anxious of theory. All right? I don't know how for this particular unit, when working with me, all I want is to see your attempt to look at things through theoretical lenses, right? That's all. I don't want you to feel enslaved to theory. I don't want you to see yourselves as obliged to quote particular people and be, always in the position of non-mastery. I will never be like Winchell, or maybe just as well. Maybe you don't want to be like Winchell. So please play with ideas. I prefer you to play with ideas and show me how you did that, then repeat what other people say and actually believing you got it right and you may not. So it's not getting it right and wrong. What I value is reflection. And that's what the e-portfolio is about, reflection. It is a university, unfortunately. It's not a vocational training. So even though it is connected to a job, and just as well it is connected to a job, because once you do a PhD, you find out that PhDs are never connected to a job. So, but it is a university, so I will be looking forward to you, to your reflections. Any other questions or comments? Okay, I might close this session then, and I just hope that I got it recorded. Sorry, I'm sick. I was in Asia pretty much all November, and they gave me one sickness after another.
Hi.
Yeah.
I'm Sharon. I'll just join the session.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get on all for about an hour, and the sound just come on now. No, I've missed it.
Yes.
So sorry about that.
Do you have any questions?
No, I'll email you the questions. I'll email you.
Okay. Now the question from Stacy: can you submit earlier? Can you send me a draft? Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
So can I hear what you've already said by somehow, or?
I think it is recorded.
Okay. Thank you.
So you will be able to replay it. But Sharon, if you have a specific question, why not use the time and ask?
That's okay. I'll email you.
Okay. So regarding this, I'll just repeat, just in case this is your question. Regarding the format of the assignment, I don't mind. You might send it to me on a stone. I don't care whether it's a Word file, PowerPoint, Google website, blog. Anything that I can read will be accepted. Okay? I assess the way you think with theory about literacy as an engagement in the world. I don't actually assess the format. Okay? So I think I will be able to save this file. And if not, maybe then I'll just write a short summary of it. But hopefully I can save it. All right, well, this is it from me for now. And we might close the session.